Hey YouTube, MrRampro here again, and I've had this knife for a little bit. I just didn't do a review on it. I've used it quite extensively, and here's the review on a case CV Steeled Hawkbill Pruner. I might be a little off on the name, but you'll get the general gist of it. That is one sick freaking Hawkbill blade right there. And that CV blade steel, you can get it razor sharp, and it'll pretty much dice up whatever you want. The only real limitations to this thing, I think, is the force behind, what you can push on it and stuff like that as far as the cuts, and maybe the ergonomics on the handle. Might not be as comfortable as with this piece coming right back into your heel. Might not be as comfortable for extreme cutting tasks, but so far I haven't had any issues with it. Pretty much shredding whatever I wanted to, and that includes sheetrock, of course the paper boxes and the cardboard boxes and all that kind of crap, the letters and everything. It pretty much eats whatever you put in its way. It's kind of like the Victorinox baker's knife. That thing, the sick curve on this blade just forces whatever material you're cutting to go right into this little corner here, and eventually towards the tip, which just, it forces it just to shred every bit of whatever you're putting into it, which is great. And you can get this thing absolutely razor blade sharp, especially with that blade steel, and pretty much get what you want out of a utility folder. Sorry, like a utility pocket knife, something that you want to do your chores with, you want to prune the plants with, you want to kind of play with. With the CV steel, it's pretty nice. I let it patina naturally on its own. That was the goal. And then I cut up some sheetrock with it, left it in my tool bag, forgot about it, and the tip started rusting pretty bad. And you're talking like 6 days I forgot about it. That whole area was completely rusted, so I took a wire brush to it, cleaned it all off as best I could. There's a little down here too, you can see. Cleaned it all up, oiled it, and resharpened it, and then tossed it in vinegar for the bath, just because it was kind of looking a little gross at that point. I really do like the look of the gray as it comes out. You can see the definite, it still got your shine to it, but you can see almost that white color of the Delica above it. And that's not just the sunlight. You can see that's definitely a pretty sick little patina action going on there. The knife itself has the half stop, which I find with this big of a folder, it's almost a little dangerous when you're cutting it. Open it, or when you're closing it. Opening it doesn't seem to be a problem, but when you're closing it, I just get that kind of feeling that it pops in so hard that I feel like it's going to keep going and pop on my finger or something. Obviously, keep your fingers out of the way when you're shutting it, but at the same time, it kind of abruptly hops into it, whereas with a peanut, it's more of a gradual kind of pop into it, and you're good to go. This thing has such a strong back spring and such a big blade that it kind of pops in there really tight, so it's a little bit jerky in the movements as far as that goes. I wouldn't change anything on it necessarily as far as that goes. I think as time it'll wear in, the back spring will kind of loosen up, and then I think it'll be extremely great. I like the half stops on the blades. I think it's, it's extra care and extra, just one extra little feature that you can have on your blades. So I think the half stops are pretty awesome. I was checking, I just did this video too on the GEC, or the Tidio Cutlery conductor, and I was trying to see, yeah, no half stop whatsoever. I was trying to see if there's any notches or anything. It felt a little gritty, but yeah, there's nothing in there at all as far as that goes. You saw the size comparison with the Delica already. Throw the Paramilitary 2 out there. This is primarily going to be for the slip joint guys. I think this is a great utility knife, like I said before. I know that I've got 2 more of them that have been worn the heck out. If you guys want to hang on for a second, let me grab them just to show you. Okay, I'm back now. I was looking at it, and I know for a fact that this one is a Hawkbill. This is one of, my grandfather's old knives or something. I was going to say granddad's old blades, but... And this one here, I honestly will probably recant the fact that it was a Hawkbill, and you'll see why. That whole tip edge, it doesn't look like it ever really swooped, whereas this one's kind of swooping down right here. It doesn't really look that way. That's just another old beater I found in the shed after he passed away. But this Hawkbill blade here has definitely been through the gears. He's got the initial of his last name on the handle. That's pretty sweet. That's one of the ones that God dog, definitely rides in the safe. I'll leave it open, of course, because it's a pain in the tail to close, but that's pretty sweet. It almost looks like it was repinned here. Maybe it jacked up at one point, or I don't know. I have no idea how old the thing is. I don't even know what it says on the blade. Cutmaster, made in USA. There's another word in there, something New York, I can't read it. Probably research it and find it, but either way, definitely a proven pattern. An extremely nice pattern, other than the fact that I don't really dig the hump here, and I don't dig the fact that this standoff here on the bottom of the blade tang is so big. I checked for the distance. You could honestly close this thing in a little bit more by grinding down that little bit of a tang, and you could probably have it sit a little bit deeper in the handle, because when I looked at it with a flashlight, I had a little bit to go as far as the end of this blade hitting inside the handle. I don't know how much. I don't want to say, you know, a length on it, but I could probably get it to seat in there a little bit better. But closed, we'll show you that real quick. It's huge closed. So there's just your paramilitary closed. Here's your Delica, which is probably a little closer to it. But you can see that closed. That is definitely a pretty big deal. As far as the slip joint goes, it does have its thinness working towards it too, because it is extremely thin. You can see right there that it's just about as thick as a Delica. Delica is really thin too, in my opinion. But that's just amplified by the fact of how big it is and thin, which that part doesn't necessarily bother me. Overall, a really great blade. The CV steel, can't say enough great things about it. Absolutely adore that steel. That's probably one of my favorites. In that VG10, there's a couple others. S90V hasn't really completely sold me yet. I'm still not 100% on that blade steel. It's a little more of a pain in the tail to sharpen. I can't get it as sharp with the same sharpening implements that I can get the VG10 sharp with, and the CV steel, so I can sharpen those things with a sharpener, unnamed sharpener, and this one just doesn't seem to get as sharp on the ceramic rods. So I'll have to do a sharpening video and kind of see about that. But overall, I do want other handle options. They pretty much primarily offer everything in yellow handles, the CV blade steel, which is pretty cool. A couple of them have the stainless counterparts and the same thing, that True Sharp stainless. But I just hate that. I love the carbon steel, and I got to shop around to find the handle materials other than yellow. Yellow is readily available. Everybody's got it, which is kind of crappy because I got 15 darn yellow knives laying around, you know. So it's kind of, I don't know, yellow gets boring after a little bit to me. But great utility blade. I would look into it for that. EDC, I think it's a little large. I have used it. It's definitely a recognized knife. I was at work and somebody knew the blade shape and knew the knife like instantly. Said that their dad and grandpa had carried nothing but these, you know, and that was kind of cool to hear, because I haven't heard that with any of my other knives really. I heard, you know, old man knife and, oh, those are cool, my grandpa had one, that kind of thing, but I hadn't heard somebody come out and just say they knew the pattern, the blade shape, and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was kind of neat on too many knives, other than like the Enduro or something a little bit more popular. Other than that, guys, I really don't have too much more information on it. I didn't get into the history of the blade and watts, that shape, and all that kind of stuff. I think it's definitely a utilitarian kind of thing, and something to look for if you're looking into that kind of deal. Definitely a great little woodcrafting knife. That tip lets you get in there and play around quite a bit. Bait knife, the same kind of thing. That CV steel you got to be a little careful for, but other than that, you should be pretty good to go. So I appreciate you guys watching, tuning in, and we'll have some more videos coming. Thanks a lot, guys.